Hello and welcome to the 25th episode of the Sparring Partners podcast. My name is Colby McKinley and I'm joined by Mr. Brad Jones.
Hello. Another week, another pay-per-view, but this one is a little bit different. We're going to talk about it.
All right. Yeah, it's a little bit different. And you know what? Some things stay the same.
That's true.
Like our collaboration with our friends over at fightfreaks.co. I'm on a little bit of a break right now, so I've been just watching MMA, just watching it, just really enjoying it, and that I'm enjoying the little break and new post on my website. A good week. A good restful week. So you overall good week for you, sir?
Yes, good, very good week for me. Got my second Pfizer shot, so I'm all good. I'm ready to rip that mask off, run up in the club, start sneezing everywhere.
Oh yeah,
so it's about to get wild up
in here. Yeah, just start licking and grinding all over. Oh, no worries.
Back at it.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, well, that's cool. We had that was precisely, you got just like my girlfriend, got knocked down by the second shot, but yeah, we're back. Well, let's jump into what just happened.
Yeah.
We're fresh off the heels of PFL, the 2021 season opener. This is the regular season, so it's a little bit more traditional sports-like. In case you're not clued into how PFL works, the regular season takes place. Fighters perform how they perform. Different endings are given different point values between 3 and 6 points. 8 people with the most points moves on to playoffs, and then a typical tournament format from there. Well, this was the first card where 2 former champions and a former UFC champion all got upset. That was a pretty fun card as well. I'll say that for PFL.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I will be the first to admit I have never paid very close attention to PFL. The only times I've ever watched PFL in the past has been when they've had a big debuting star, pretty much, which is essentially the same reason why I tuned in tonight. But I will say, in this past year, in the absence of basically any MMA other than the UFC, I am reveling and loving the abundance that we're now seeing. We got Bellators on Fridays fairly consistently lately. Throw PFL into the mix. They're on ESPN. I've already got ESPN Plus. I'm already locked in with the UFC stuff. It's very easy for me to get a hold of it. I don't got to go out of my way. So it's all been very nice, and I may actually keep up with PFL from here on out, because I did think they had a fairly good product tonight. It's a strange learning curve, getting used to the point system and how they kind of use that. But by the end of the card, I got the hang of it. I get the gist of it. But yeah, the fights, wild. That main event, dude, just brutal stuff. I honestly thought it should have been stopped in the second, when Pettis was like completely turtled up on the ground, just eating shots, and the ref's just like, hey, watch back of the head. Like, dude's getting destroyed. But whatever. He came back in the third and had that big head kick, almost finished him.
Nuts. Collard fought an insanely great fight, and I'll take a moment to agree that the production was really great, and I've always enjoyed. I enjoyed the broadcast team last season, and I think it's the same. I'm not 100% sure if Florian was not there, correct?
No, Florian is brand new.
Brand new.
He is brand new, and son, it was a treat to hear him back on the commentary.
Yeah.
He hasn't had commentary since he got let go by the UFC. Man, he was killing it. He was doing great. They had Randy in there too, and I didn't realize that the main guy, the former UFC guy, fought for them. I didn't know he was.
Yeah, Sean.
Yes, Sean.
Sean O'Connell.
Yes, Sean O'Connell is so ingrained.
Yeah.
He's like the lead guy, and I was like,
he's
man.
great. Well, yeah.
I thought they did really, really well in the.
It kind of ties into some like UFC trivia I used to have about him when he was a fighter, or like I guess like it was a Goldbergism, where he's just like, O'Connell is a full-time radio DJ. Like he came from broadcast.
Yeah.
So to see him in that role, and he is that's how he ended his career, winning the tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
So he beat like massive upset. Who did he beat? Vinny? He did.
Yeah,
he beat
Vinny.
Malco Hayes. Yeah. But anyway, back to tonight. The production was really good. Randy Couture, I think, is solid. I think Florian is solid. I think that Sean O'Connell is really good at his job.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it was a night of upsets. It really was. You had Lance Palmer getting taken out by Bubba Jenkins, which is a surprise.
Yeah.
Lance, the party Palmer, has kind of been the face up to this point. Which actually, you want to talk about some disrespect? The Instagram ads that I saw today, trying to get me to watch PFL. Only one like PFL athlete was on the poster.
Yeah.
Everyone else was a recent signee.
Even Clay Collard was making his debut.
Yeah. You had there was a thing that was like tune in to the 2021 season, and it's a picture of Rory McDonald.
Yeah.
It was
Verdum,
a picture.
Verdum.
It was Pettis.
Yeah.
Kayla Harrison was the lone PFL, and then Shields.
Clarissa Shields.
Yeah, so all recent signees. So anyway, I figured they were hoping for a change in the guard, and they kind of got one tonight. They got Lance Palmer getting taken out. You had just a meat grinder of a fight between Natan Schultz and Marcin Held.
Yeah.
Dude, that was insane.
Yeah.
Who did you have in that? Who did you personally have in that?
I didn't personally pick one at the end. It was one where it was very, very close, and I was just like in the moment. I was just like, God, these dudes are just like destroying each other. I knew it was very, very close. It could have gone either way at the end. I wasn't upset. But dude, those low kicks, man, were like just fight was crazy. It was brutal stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's the classic like the moving forward versus picking your shots kind of argument. And I think that Marcin Held, I think, deserved to win, but it was it's not a very comfortable decision.
No, I was like a very split, if anything.
Yeah. Oh well, it was it was not. It was unanimous,
it was
right?
unanimous, but
man,
probably
super, really a blast to watch.
But hey, man, PFL they're doing some big things right now, and they just got two big investors this week with Wiz Khalifa and Kevin Hart. So Kevin Hart and Wiz Khalifa both throwing their rapper monies. Chocolate Droppa, shouts out Chocolate Droppa, throwing they rapper monies and they comedian monies into this thing, and they're spending it. They're spending that money on big signees, and I mean, I think it worked out. I think the show is quite successful. Got me interested in coming back for their next show, which is going to have Rory McDonald debuting on it, which is another one I'm very interested in seeing how it goes, because admittedly, I fear that Rory is in a similar position that that Anthony Pettis is in. And I can't even say that Anthony Pettis looked bad tonight. He just looked like Anthony Pettis, who has looked the exact same for the past 10 years. And guess what? That guy has been beaten repeatedly over the past bunch of years, and there's just a clear blueprint out there of how to beat him, and it's just through pressure, whether you can wrestle or not, even through striking, as Clay Collard just did. You pressure the shit out of him. You don't fight with him at range, and I mean, it's just Pettis fights the way he fights. He doesn't change. He's not gonna change at this point in his career, and there's a blueprint to beat him. I'm scared. I don't predict things to go very well for him in general at PFL, because if you come in right out of the gate and you get beat up real bad against Clay Collard, I'm not foreseeing things going well for you over there.
No, especially when you just watched Natan Schultz, the guy that you ideally you'll fight next.
Yeah.
Implement literally the exact that, and that's not even Natan Schultz saw something in Marcin Held. That's just how Natan Schultz fights.
Yeah.
I'm down to see that fight. I'm a huge fan of both men, but yeah, it was I think it's a little bit strong, but the feeling I had in the moment was just shades of BJ Penn. It's he does not seem to have something, Pettis. There's something lacking, and I think there's obviously a motivation to make money. I mean, that was the whole thought around signing the PFL, was to work your way towards, Pettis saw that as his surest bet to $1 million payday late in his career.
Yeah.
But I don't see there's not a fight. It's kind of like a Woodley situation where technically all the tools that we know and love are still there. There's just this X factor that seems to be missing.
Yeah, the fire behind it.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that he's not motivated. If he wasn't motivated, he wouldn't do it. He's motivated, just not for glory and honor. He's trying to get
not in the same way.
Paid, So I'm not, and I think that this may just be a game that I'm not sure you're able to do it as a job. I just don't think MMA is something that you can do as a job. It's a passion project.
If there's anything I've learned of just the past 10, 15 years of us being fans, is that the window in this sport is it's so small. It's so small. When we came up and watching, Anderson and GSP rack up all these title defenses, that's over with. That doesn't happen anymore. Your window to be elite in the sport is just a handful of years. Typically, if you get to the top of the mountain, you only got a couple of years there before it is brutally all downhill from there. It's rough. It's rough time. Look at a guy like Chris Weidman, man. Even he's young, relatively young still in the sport, still been around the sport, and it's just getting just ground into the mud, man. The meat grinder is still just going at him. And it's rough.
Yeah, I mean that's it never stops being what MMA is, and I think that's why as a community we reward high degrees of dominance. It's it is so hard, just to have a winning record in MMA. You have to be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Have a winning record over, five. We want to qualify it 10 fights with a winning record. You're pretty good. and that just speaks to how difficult the sport is. And if you're a guy in a place like Pettis, like I can't imagine he's like totally broke. You hope he isn't, but yeah, when you see him in there, he just doesn't seem to have the same fire. And also the reality is Pettis' game was always built upon speed and explosiveness. And after being in combat sports since you were, like he was a teen, I'm just not sure how much explosiveness he really has left, to be honest. There were shades like in that third round.
Yeah, I legitimately would like to see him fight on like Triller undercards. Like, no joke. Like, I'm just like, go like that. There's like it's kind of unrelated, but there's a small phenomenon that's kind of broken out this week. In particular, I don't know if you follow Greg Hardy on Instagram. Greg Hardy had a little Instagram post where he was like, I did this the wrong way. He was like, screw being over here fighting in real fights, making pennies. He was like, I'm trying to go fight for Triller and make some money. And he was basically just like, I'm trying to bail out of here. And he was like, yo, Jake Paul, get me on one of these Triller events. I'm just trying to go over there and be a he's a celebrity, right? He could just be, I'm the football player with the past. Let him go box some other, let him go box Lamar Odom, right? For like $1 million. And the thing is, it's like, of course, why would he? This is the option these people have. Like, go do it. Go ahead. Like, people like him or a Pettis, man. Like, Pettis was talking about, boxing Oscar De La Hoya. Good God, man. Whatever. Go for it.
No, I mean, you heard it in the commentary. If you listen to the commentary, I mean, Couture was like just beside himself in the final round. He was like, Pettis has to throw his hands.
Yeah.
He has to use his hands. He cannot keep he kept doing the same thing. Collins would advance with punches, and Pettis would drift back, throw an outside leg kick, and maybe try to slip in the right hand. But other than that, he didn't do a ton. He had that awesome setup for the head kick that he did twice in round 3. You wish he just did it sooner. Yeah, he just, maybe it's a pressure, a trigger pulling thing, or, he has started a little slow in the past at times. So maybe it's just by that second round, he figured he was just too far behind. He was really deflated. I don't know, man. It was a really weird performance out of him. And I don't want to, but I'll say this. It still looked enough like Anthony Pettis for me to be like, damn, Clay Collard just beat Anthony Pettis.
Oh, yeah, it's still him. Like, I can't say that Anthony Pettis looked bad. I can't. He looked like himself. I mean, he gave a good account of himself. I just think Pettis had, towards the end of his UFC career, slipped out of the elite fighter status, and then recently had been in like this middle tier fighter status. But now I think he's even slipped below that into like, the thing is, I'm like, when you look at somebody like him or like a Woodley, it's somebody that's already peaked. They've been at the top. They've been a UFC champion. And I'm like, okay, what are we still doing here then? Like, what are we still, okay, so like you've already done it, and then you've gone on a bad streak, you've washed out of the UFC, you go and you sign to some other organization, you lose there, and it's like, what are you still fighting for? Because you're just further tarnishing your legacy. Do you need money? Like, if you need money, there's probably better ways to make some quick money fast. But I don't know. I'm just like to the point where a couple more performances like that, I'm going to be like, yeah, I don't need to see Anthony Pettis fight anymore. And this crosses over to Woodley too. Woodley, we can kind of throw this out there too. It was revealed a couple hours ago. Woodley's been released from the UFC. Tyron Woodley, former champion, is no longer a UFC fighter. What do you have any speculations on what he does next? What do you think that Tyron Woodley should do next in his
I
career?
think he tries as hard as he possibly can to goad Jake Paul into a boxing match, or someone into Jake Paul primarily, and then just someone into a boxing match, be it a retired boxer, be it a celebrity, really anything to get that Triller money. And then if that fails, because does he still have the power of TMZ behind him?
To my knowledge, yes, I do believe so.
So
yeah.
he definitely pulling off the Jake Paul thing is like it's an attainable reality.
Absolutely, yeah.
It might. I mean, listen, say what you want about Woodley's, paw overhand right, but like I put his chances at quite a bit better than Ben Askren.
And it is for that reason right there exactly that the people around Jake Paul will not allow him to accept it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Tyron Wood, they're like, bro, this ain't it. This is not.
If they have any type of like correct, if they're pushing this kid in the right direction, they're not going to let that fight happen. But I totally agree with you. Woodley, see, I've listened to all these various interviews over the past couple weeks because you have Woodley, Pettis, and Ben Askren, who all train together, all from the same camp, all friends, very tight. Woodley, of course, in Askren's corner during the fight. So Woodley is right there when all this stuff's happening. He's around it. He sees all the money being thrown around. He knows it's obtainable. It's right there because, like you said, the Jake Paul fight may not work out, but I'm seeing the traction around this Triller nonsense gain to the point where I'm thinking they are going to be a sustainable, I don't know financially long term, but I think in the near future, Triller is going to put on a couple more of these events, and I think they're going to be successful carnival freak show events. Kind of how like Bellator did back in the day with like, oh, here's Kimbo versus a 60-year-old man or something, just like a weird freak show things, because they're still doing this stuff. They're like, yo, we've got a 60-year-old Evander Holyfield coming up. We've got Lamar Odom versus Aaron Carter. This is a real thing. Aaron Carter versus Lamar Odom. This is an actual fight that's happening. And so like Woodley, man, dude, Woodley just to happen.
What's the story?
They are both recovering crackheads that want to just fight it out for rehab.
Fight each other. Okay.
But man, Woodley calls out a celebrity. Man, Woodley's like, "Yo, Mario Lopez, dog, let's go. Me and you."
Mario.
Woodley gets on a Triller boxing card. He plays the role that Frank Mir played, right? Just fight some guy. Dude, he can make $500,000. And it's crazy because there's been a lot of talk about this because after Ben Askren came out last week and disclosed how much money he made, which for the record, if anyone didn't hear it, Ben Askren claimed that in that one night for a minute to get knocked out by Jake Paul, he made more than his entire Bellator and ONE FC run combined. Both organizations combined, he made in one night. So in response to this, a couple other fighters came out and started talking about their numbers as well. Corey Anderson claims that in 2 fights with Bellator, he's now made more money, and he's had twice as much money as all his fights in the UFC combined. And there was another person too who I'm blanking on right now. But regardless, I think it's a lot of people's eyes are being opened up to there is a lot of money to be made around here outside of the UFC, and becoming a UFC champion does not equate to money. It does not equate.
No, I would argue that a Bellator champion in some ways, okay. I would say that a top 5 Bellator fighter is probably paid better than your average top 5 UFC fighter.
Anthony Pettis had mentioned how his brother
Sergio
is getting paid crazy over there in Bellator.
Yeah,
Sergio wasn't even,
But I'm not sure. Yeah, Sergio, he fights for the title next. He fights for the title on the 8th, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
Apparently he's
he
making really
fight
good money over there.
On the 7th. He fights Juan Archuleta for the bantamweight belt. When you become a UFC champion, so it is said, you get access to pay-per-view points. So I'm not sure how far that offsets it, but Bellator fighters seem to be paid pretty dang well, and that was my plan B for Tyron Woodley. Is he tries as hard as he can to get a Triller fight, and when he cannot, or if he cannot, he'll sign for Bellator because of his past relationship with Coker, which is like it's a very common trajectory. People like working for Coker. They do. As far as a promoter fighter relationship, Coker's still a promoter, but at the same time, fighters seem to enjoy fighting for him.
Oh yeah, especially your Strikeforce guys. It's like it's the perfect sandwich situation, right? They come from Strikeforce, they're with Coker, they go to the UFC, they get dicked around, they go back to Papa Coker, who's like, "Hey, I know how it is. Come on home." And he gasses them up, gives them some of that Viacom money, and it's all good in the hood. But I will tell you right now, I absolutely do not like Woodley's chances in Bellator's welterweight division. I'll tell you that right now.
No. He's like one win over like a dude who's 7-4 away from getting wrecked by Lima.
Yeah.
Or Lima is fighting.
Yeah, he's fighting some dude with like an outrageous record, right?
25-0.
I've never heard of that guy. Who is he?
He is a Russian fella.
Is he some kind of destroyer?
He's good.
He's fought in Bellator a lot.
I believe he has fought there. That's not at Bellator 258, is it? They're not doing it. I don't think they do double. Whoa. Invicta on Access TV.
Yeah, Invicta got sold. Did you not see that?
No. What happened there?
Yeah, Invicta got sold. They are no longer owned by the same people, and so they canceled their deal with Fight Pass. They are now on Access Television. All bad news for Invicta.
Yeah, that is bad news, because I feel like one of the few reasons they got, because I mean, okay, listen, the reality is there isn't a massive talent pool for women's MMA. There just isn't. And so outside of the UFC, outside of what I'd say the major organizations, because Bellator's 125-pound division does have some life in it. But outside the UFC, it's largely not great. I mean, the only reason I would watch Invicta is because I had Fight Pass, and I would occasionally, not every card, but every few cards, if there was someone I knew in the main event, I would turn on the card. But I'm not sure I'm gonna call my local cable provider to get Access TV. Okay. So at Bellator 260, which the next Bellator is 258. So we've got a little bit. It is 6/11. So that is June 11th. Yeah. Lima takes on Yaroslav Amasov. 25-0. He looks unassuming as hell. He is 27 years old. He has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row in Bellator. He has wins over Gerald Harris, Eric Silva, David Rickles, Ed Ruth. In fact, his record kind of goes backwards in terms of like name value. At least for me, it does.
I can't believe I've never heard of this guy before with all these accolades.
Well, dude, I'm telling you, man, you explore tapology long enough, you're going to come across some Eastern European dudes that just have like a crazy amount of fights. They've just never fought outside of Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, and then they just kind of burst onto the scene. Like, he made his US debut at 19-0 against Gerald Harris, who at the time was 25-6. So he just like came out of Siberia straight into fighting a dude with over 30 fights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be pretty good. That really should be pretty good. But also, the regional scene's a mess. It's like, yeah, the regional scene is important for like developing people, but sometimes regional MMA works like the rest of like all of boxing. You know what I mean? The regional scene is where the cans are to be crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Except on when that's how MMA works. The can crushing happens away from cameras when no one's watching in a high school auditorium. That's when can crushing takes place.
And quickly. We don't do it for like 40 fights like boxing.
No.
Does. Like there's no padding of your record. Like you crush 3 cans and it's like, all right, you're good.
All right, you're good now. You can win. Yeah. I mean, it's like he fought a dude who was 7-2 when he was 3-0. You know what I mean? Like that's just how MMA is. But yeah, anyway, so that's that. Yeah, well, that's Bellator. Bellator comes up in what is it? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. The big one, finally. They're not even the main event. That's so crazy to me. I get it though.
Yeah. This is I lost my train of thought, but there was a I'm not sure, a question for Brad from Bon Queequee. Can Kevin Holland come back stronger after loss?
Oh man, a question.
Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you, Von Queequee, for the question. We appreciate your donation. Okay, so the question is, can Kevin Holland come back stronger after the loss? I'm going to say yes, he absolutely can.
I agree.
He needs to make some changes. Chief among them, probably go down to welterweight, I would recommend. Then also quit taking short notice fights. You need to chill, and you need to take like about a year, 9 months maybe, and you need to train. You need to train wrestling, probably with DC. He's giving you a nice offer. Might as well take him up on it. Get some good wrestling training in for 9 months to a year. Drop a weight class, go down to welterweight. And yeah, I think Kevin Holland could absolutely turn it around. I mean, the guy, that knockout over Jacare was some of the most brutal shit we've ever seen, man. And that was the 5th fight in a row of a 5-fight winning streak that was incredibly impressive at middleweight.
Well, yeah, man. You're talking about a guy who really doesn't have to. It's not like he has to turn it around. He has to like just do the old Tesla autopilot here for a few seconds. You just put your hands back on the wheel. Remember where you're trying to get to, and just take control for a little bit. Yeah. Work your wrestling a little bit. It's just of course I think was it a week that we missed? I'm not sure if it was a week that we missed.
Which one?
It was Kevin Holland Vettori.
No, we discussed it.
Yeah. So I mean, we from what we said at the time, it was.
Now we can discuss it again because it has new relevance with today's revelation.
Yeah, it does. It does. It turns out that beating Holland is world title worthy.
Yeah, apparently doing the exact same thing that Derek Brunson did the week before, but talking just a little bit more trash. Is more impressive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this game is all about. How about for now, like 2 to 3 fights in a row, they've been like, all right, so Whittaker, you just fought. You want a title shot in like 3 weeks? And he's like, yeah, no, I don't, because this timing like doesn't line up at all. Like I just fought. And they're like, oh, all right, cool. Well, we're you can get him next time. We're just gonna give a title shot to somebody else. And then they do, and then they're like, oh, hey, Whittaker, yeah, you just beat another like top contender, man. You totally earned the title shot, but you want to fight in like 3 days for the title? And he's like, yeah, no, I don't, because why do you keep booking title fights immediately right after I fight instead of just giving me the title fight? But nope. Once again, 3rd fight in a row. So my question now is, does Whittaker fight a 4th contender now?
No.
Or does he just sit?
I mean,
and if he sits, does he even get the winner of this fight? I'm not sure he does.
Who else?
I am assuming that in this interim space, they book some of these people. Like, look at you have Brunson, you have Cannonier, and you have Costa. Those top 3 guys. I am assuming Brunson gets in a number 1 contender fight with one of those other 2 guys, probably Costa. So Brunson Costa happens. If they book Brunson Costa as a fight night main event, I can't guarantee that the winner of that, they're not like, maybe you're next for Vettori Whittaker winner or Adesanya winner, because they're not concerned about getting Whittaker at all.
I know, but like, no, they all just lost.
Dude, I can't believe they're giving this title shot to Vettori.
I can. Vettori's on a tear. It is a good test for. It is, in my mind, it's less about Vettori and it's more about Adesanya. It is,
yes.
Hey man, you said you could win the light heavyweight belt. Well, you didn't, because you got laid on for 15 of 25 minutes. Now, let's see if you went to work. Let's see what you have worked on, because here's a guy in Vettori who did that exact same thing to you 2 years ago, and there seemed to be no movement on that skill set. So this is really going to tell us something important. But as you said in your game plan for Holland, like, Holland needs a lot of time to implement those types of things in his game and to fix those holes. Yeah, man. I mean, Adesanya, it wasn't. I mean, what month was that fight?
Which one?
He shot at light heavyweight.
March.
Yeah, that's like no time at all. How far out are they?
They fight in June, May, June, July, June. They fight in June.
Yeah, I just am not. Granted, I don't think Vettori is necessarily he can wrestle and he's big. I don't think he's the same level or caliber of wrestler as Blachowicz, but still, I don't think that enough time has really gone by to see major improvements from Adesanya in that aspect.
No, I agree. The fight will be competitive and it's cool, but I just think I think they had 3 options of people to give a title fight to. I think the first one should have been Whittaker, and then timing doesn't line up. The second one should have been in my humble opinion, Derek Brunson over Vettori. But, so be it. Vettori, it is what it is. Moving on.
Yeah, well, I like the fight. It's one of those things where, like, I think that by this point, Whittaker, at this point, people just don't want to forgive him for losing. He looks so good. He looks world class, and he looks like he could be. He looks like he could be the best in the world. He does not look like the same guy who lost to Adesanya. He looks durable. He looks accurate and fast and powerful and well-rounded, taking Gastelum down.
Yeah.
So he, in terms of skill, and if this was any sort of meritocracy, he would be getting the next shot at the belt. But yeah, he's right. The UFC just wants what they want. And what they want is for him to turn right around after fighting 5 hard rounds and start getting ready for a fight almost immediately afterwards. It's man. I mean, it's classic UFC shit. It's just disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, that's it. They totally don't appreciate what the athletes do.
Yep.
So, it is what it is. We brushed against it in this. But on Saturday, we did have UFC Vegas 24 with the aforementioned main event between Whittaker and Gastelum. Of course, Whittaker took that by unanimous decision. And just to mention a few other fights on the card, maybe as I'm looking at it, really just one that I had a note on, and you'd probably guess it. It's co-main event. Andre Arlovski, he notched one on the win column for the old guys.
Not only that, he's like 3-1 in his last 4. It's insane.
Yeah,
this ancient man.
Every time he fights, we have the same conversation.
Dude, and it's every couple of weeks. He's fighting like
it is
in his prime. It's crazy.
He has fought twice in 2021 already.
Name the last 4 guys he fought. The interchangeable young heavyweight names.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. All right, so this is dating back to 2019. This is not the last couple, but he had a no contest against Walt Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Now let me start with this one because we're talking about just generic names in heavyweight. Shamil Abdu Rakimov.
Mm-hmm.
Then no contest, Walt Harris. Augusto Sakai.
Yep.
He lost a split decision. Ben Rothwell, he won. Rosenstruck, he got knocked out in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
He then beat Felipe Lins. He then beat Tanner Boser. He then lost to Tom Aspinall. And then he beat Chase Sherman.
Yeah. Yeah. He is running through the list of generic heavyweights that they got.
Oh, bro. Oh, they're going to body this boy. I was just looking out of curiosity at Augusto Sakai.
Mm-hmm.
His next fight.
Main event. Yeah.
What'd they do to my boy, Brad?
Main event. The problem is now, what do you do with Rosenstrike? Because Rosenstrike has been exposed to be a one-trick pony like a motherfucker. And so it's like, well, we just have to put him up against people he can knock out or the fight's going to be awful pretty much.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
That seems to be Augusto Sakai. I mean, well, I mean, like, not to be unfair to the dude, his only loss was his last bout against, not his only loss, his only UFC loss was his last bout. Oh my God. So how does he do this, man? How does he do this? Okay. So he was on. So it's like it's kind of like if you look up in paleontology, humans apparently have rebounded from 2 bottleneck events.
Okay.
Do you know what that means?
No, please explain.
A bottleneck is when a population. This is the best bottle I got.
Yeah.
You know, a population of a species gets so small in the bottle, right? The lip closest to the lip, it cannot rebound and get bigger again. It just dwindles down, kind of like a siphon, right? It's like Arlovski has had multiple of those in his career. Like,
he's had like 3 different 4+ fight losing streaks in the UFC. He had a 5-fight one once. He went on a 5-fight losing streak in the UFC and rebounded.
He sure did. He sure did. Yeah. Over the course of from 2016 to 2019, he had a record of 2-7 in that 3-year stint. And he's had like 2 career extinction level events. It was this 4-fight losing streak from 2009 to 2011. He got knocked out by Fedor. Then he got stopped by Brett Rogers. He lost decision to Bigfoot Silva, then stopped by Sergey Karatanov in Strikeforce. He did lose it, and then his UFC, the one where we were all just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. The 5-fight losing streak was Stipe, Overeem, Barnett, Ngannou, Tabura. Dude, one of these is not like the others.
Brutal. Jesus
he got
Christ.
Oh my God, he got stopped in 4 of those 5 losses.
Yeah. His chin is like just out of this world because he'll go on like these stretches where it looks like shit and he's getting tagged and knocked out left and right. And then it'll just recover and he'll just have a stone chin for a couple fights at like 43 years old. It's craziness.
Dude, I know he says he's from Chicago. I think he might be from Transylvania.
That boy is Russian.
Yeah, he might be from Transylvania. Actually, he was born in Belarus. But he just seems like his chin is undead sometimes, but other times it's very much dead. Other than that, you had on the card.
It was rather uneventful. Let's get into that.
Actually, you know what?
261.
There was one other one. One other bout. It was Jessica Penne came back.
Yep, 4 years away.
Yeah.
Good win.
It was a tough fought win. It was really like a remind. It was like the MMA gods was trying to remind her like what fighting is, and they're just like, yeah, this is gonna be really hard. Sorry. Well, I think you were correct. We've got a little bit of time left. We probably got a little bit of show left in us. And you know what? One big show is coming up tomorrow and that's UFC 261. Usman, Mozville 2, the rematch the whole world was begging for. And then you've got Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas in the co-main event. That's classic communism versus freedom right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Valentina Shevchenko taking on former champ Jessica Andrade. I'm just going to keep moving. Also on the main card, you have Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall. I'm very excited for that. That is a rematch of a Ring of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was? Right?
Yeah, Ring of something. Yeah.
Ring of
maybe Ring of Combat, but like
it's Ring of Combat,
yeah.
I believe. Where Chris Weidman was victorious, and then the final fight on the main card, Anthony Smith looking to maintain his ranking. I mean, that's essentially what he's fighting for here. He's not fighting for really, in my opinion, anything major past this fight with Jimmy Crute, who is on a nice little tear. He is
2-fight stoppage streak.
Yeah, he is 5-1 inside the UFC. His lone loss was a Peruvian necktie loss to Misha Cirkunov. If you lose to Misha Cirkunov, I feel it should be some weird shit like a Peruvian necktie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And that's how it goes. So anyway, he's on the card as well. Brad, what is your number one story, or like just the number one thing that's on your mind coming into 261?
Well, it is absolutely that I don't give a damn about that main event, and that the people's main event of Weili Zhang versus Rose is likely to be a banger. I won't declare that it is like unquestionably going to be a banger, because there are a couple concerns that I have about it that we'll get into, but it should be a fantastic fight. I'm very, very excited about that co-main event. That is most certainly the people's main event. And then the next fight after that I'm probably most excited about is that Weidman versus Uriah Hall rematch. Excited for different reasons. Both guys that are most certainly in the twilights of their careers, but something else we'll get into. I can see a path for each one of them to still go on one last chapter here in the UFC if they play their cards right here.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I'm kind of where you're at, man. And one note on Rose, her 9-4 record does not paint an accurate picture of what we're dealing with here. Yeah, I think that it's right on the money. The main event, while I am, I'll watch. Of course, I'm gonna be there, so I'll be watching it. Be not at the event. I'm not gonna be in Texas,
Florida.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna be in Jacksonville, Florida either. But yeah, I mean, I'll be watching the card, so of course I'll watch it. But I'm moderately, like, it kind of surprised me. I felt no hype for this, so I kind of was just messing around on the computer earlier this week and looked at Tapology for some stuff and was like, okay, yeah, this is this weekend. Pretty cool. All right. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, I don't want to encourage this, but I just got a question from Bon quickly, and it's open-ended.
Okay. Oof.
How strong is Stefan Struve?
Thank you once again, Bon Quiqui, for an excellent submission. Keep them coming. We always love.
Oh, he has been. I haven't mentioned a bunch of them.
No doubt.
There's one about the I mean, I'll just put it up. This is out to you, Bon Qui or
Out.
whatever you're actually called. So here, I'll just show you. All the questions that were for you, and then you can pick the best one. I personally am quite taken. I've been ignoring them, so you can tell how much I like how strong is Stefan Struve. The next one that I'll put is can Henry Cejudo compete with the welterweights? Can he?
Let's see. Can he?
He can compete. Can he? It's not. Can he win? Can he compete? I mean,
can certainly compete.
He might be. If he can make the minimum weight, he can compete.
Mm-hmm. No, not every welterweight, just the welterweights. There are welterweights that he can most certainly compete with. Yes.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. Compete with. You're right. Okay. So I agree, Brad. Why did Mozville slap Leon Edwards?
I don't know. I assume
make
it was because of disrespect.
Yeah, it was disrespect. Also, Leon Edwards looked hungry.
He was hungry. Masvidal happened to have some food on him. He served him up nice and good because Leon was hungry and was disrespecting. Masvidal don't play that disrespect, so we shut it down real quick.
Yeah, that's right. And then the last one is
yes. Yes.
Is he?
He absolutely is.
Okay.
At this moment, yes. Now
I wasn't aware that was his middle name.
Is
that really his middle name?
I don't believe so, no, but I would not be surprised.
All right. Well, it is.
Now he has some stiff competition in this category. I would say in the black elite fighter category, John is going up against the likes of Kamaru Usman, Francis Ngannou, Israel Adesanya. My man has got some competition for sure. But in my own humble personal opinion, as of right now, yes, John Jebediah Smith-Jones is the best black fighter in the UFC.
Very good. And that was it. And then actually, if we wanted to circle back,
that's right. How strong is Stefan?
How strong? I like that inflection. How strong is Stefan Struve? There's really been some mysteriousness and some real intrigue. How strong is he really? Like, we have a definitive answer, Brad. Let's say you had we'll measure it like this.
Okay.
We put an air pressure reader up to the wheel of your car.
Okay.
Stefan Struve pushes down as hard as he can. Does he change that PSI reading?
Man, I'm going to go with a no for Stefan Struve.
Okay.
On the PSI tire test.
So, Bonquiqui, to answer your question, not that strong.
He is not strong enough to squeeze the air out of a tire. That's what I'll say about his strength. But thank you for the question. Thank you for all the questions.
That's it. Yeah, it just submitted another one. I'm not going to share that one.
Nah, we'll get to that later. We got 261 talk.
Yeah, we got 261 talk, Bon.
All right, so here, let me discuss real quick. We were on we were on the main event, right?
Yeah.
General lack of interest. So, same general lack of interest for the main event. It just happened. I don't expect very much of a different result. Now, for me, the biggest question / just kind of thing about this is Dana saying this week that, obviously the next person that's going to get a title shot is Colby Covington, which I'm sitting here being like, what are we doing? So we've just made not one, but 2 number 1 contender fights at welterweight. We've got Diaz and Leon Edwards happening in 3 weeks. And we have Gilbert Burns fighting Wonder Boy in a couple weeks after that. And we're going to go to Colby, who's been sitting out for a year. Now, granted, yes, he had the win over Woodley, which is more than Mozville had, which is fine. But I'm generally shocked that the UFC is now 2 times in a row going to reward the person that sat out and didn't fight and turned down fights and turned down what they wanted them to do. Wanted them to go coach the Ultimate Fighter. No. Fight on this pay-per-view. Nope, not going to do it. I'm just going to sit out. And they're now both going to be rewarded 2 times in a row. It's kind of confusing to me. Like, are you telling me if Leon, the winner of Leon Edwards versus Diaz, either way, whoever wins that, you're going to tell me that person is not, if Nate Diaz beats Leon Edwards, you're not going to tell me that he does not get the next title shot?
Oh, that's the real money fight.
That's the money fight.
That's the real money fight.
Yeah.
Now, there is a different way to read this, and it's totally unfair to Leon Edwards in terms of like sport, but in terms of money and entertainment, it kind of makes sense. It is like I said, it's hypocritical of the UFC because Leon Edwards wanted a title shot like upon his return, more or less. And was told by, literally everyone, like, bro, that's just not how it works. You haven't been here. Right. You don't get to just show up and get pick up essentially where you left off. But I think the reality is that Mozville makes the UFC money. Covington. Whether you think, I think he has a similar business strategy to Jake Paul, but he makes the UFC money.
So I guess my question is,
that's it.
Does Covington make the UFC more money than Nate Diaz?
He might. We know that MMA has some weird ass conservative bends.
It's true, but I feel like some of the venom is gone from Colby's shtick now that Trump is kind of
he's kind of dropped. He is. I saw his interview.
It was with
maybe a month ago.
Maybe with MacLife. A month ago, he did it with Submission Radio.
That's what I'm talking about, and it was not the way he used to do interviews.
No,
I don't think he brushed around. He still is doing the like Trumpian name calling and the other Trump dog whistles to like let us know that like he's still down with the cause, but like he's gonna let it go.
He had to modify his strategy a little bit.
So I think that I think the UFC is in. It's in the top. Like we were talking about earlier in the episode, the money. That money is a big topic right now in MMA, for good reason. But I think that the UFC is also worried about their own money, and they need people who draw, and especially people who want to go places in person. They align with the Colby Covington.
The stressing the live gate aspect of these pay-per-views now. I think now that they're back after a year, they're going to want like big gates. They're going to want to drive gates as much as possible on these pay-per-views, which is precisely why this main event was even thrown on this pay-per-view, which it didn't have it and didn't really need it. But they were like, we're doing a full crowd and we're going to be in Florida, which, hey, it worked because you watch that. You watch that conference and you watch them weigh-ins, you hear a crowd screaming again, and they are a pro Mozville crowd. Mozville gets the pop from Florida. It makes sense, obviously, but it was something. It was something after a full year to hear the screaming drunk crowd at a press conference was.
It is going to be weird.
Interesting. I'm very interested in what these cards are going to be like in these pay-per-views.
Before we get out of here, I think we'd be remiss not to mention the co-main event or the co-main event Or I
Let's
guess
run through and give brief thoughts on the main card, because I want to talk about those last two fights also.
I
Rapid
think that
fire
this
thought.
is I think that this is do or die for Anthony Smith. This is Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. I think that this is do or die for Anthony Smith. This is really has the capacity to either be a vet who's holding the line or a passing of the torch. Because I think that if Anthony Smith loses to Jimmy Crute, he's not going back up ever again. I'm just not sure that path is there, because then he'll be 1-3 in his last 4, which does not make a top contender. Jimmy Crute, a win here would be absolutely massive over a former title challenger. I'm excited for that fight. It's an important crossroads bout for both men. And then, of course, we already spoke about it. Weidman, Uriah Hall. I'm always down to watch both of them fight. And the fact that it's a rematch from their younger days makes it a little bit more interesting, because you have to imagine that both men, in the time since their first fight, have become just better all around mixed martial artists. And and then Shevchenko and Andrade. I'm always down to watch Andrade fight. She is a gritty, move forward, kind of a plodding athlete. And I think that, unfortunately for her, that's going to work in the way of Shevchenko and give Shevchenko a consistently forward moving punching bag over the course of 25 minutes, more than likely. I don't predict a finish in that. Weili Zhang, Rose Namajunas. I just think it's a banger of a fight. I haven't really studied it further, but 21-1, Weili Zhang. That's insane. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes, so I completely agree with you on the Jimmy Crute, Anthony Smith situation. This is a classic matchmaking of a stocks up versus a stocks down matchmaking with Anthony Smith. I predict taking an L here and being now stuck between a rock and hard place of can't go back to middleweight, can't really do anything at light heavyweight, looking down the barrel of the end of the road for him. Jimmy Crute, on the other hand, probably going to win, break into the top 10, young guy, go on to be something in this division maybe. So on to Weidman versus Uriah Hall. This one's interesting. Specifically for Weidman, I think Weidman, we kind of touched on it, I think last week, how Weidman was unfortunate in his fall from grace, and time-wise, he missed the ascension of the current crop of top middleweights. So he's never fought any of them. And Izzy's kind of in the situation like Usman's in right now, where he's looking at all these guys that he's about to face next, and they're all rematches. Especially Chris Weidman's heavy wrestling credentials, with Izzy's currently exposed wrestling deficiencies. Weidman laid out in his interview with Ariel this week a thing which I actually think is totally obtainable. That is, if he is able to beat Uriah Hall convincingly, primarily using his wrestling, which I predict he will, to negate Hall's striking, he can get, after that fight, he's back in the top 10. He gets one more fight, maybe against a Brunson, maybe against a Cannonier, something like that. And if he beats that person, all of a sudden, Chris Weidman, back in the top 5. He's a fresh face. He's a strong wrestler. He's a former champion with a lot of name value. Absolutely 100% could see Chris Weidman getting one last shot at Izzy or whoever the champion is. But specifically, if it's still Izzy, if the kind of the stars align on that one. So I'm interested to see how Weidman can, if he can capitalize on this last opportunity, which I'm very concerned. But real quick, kind of a side tangent. I don't know if you've kept up with Weidman lately, but Weidman did an interview with Ariel this week. It was very interesting. Our man has left New York. He has left New York. He's moved to South Carolina. He is no longer training under the tutelage of Matt Serra and those guys. He is now training in South Carolina. And he's talking about how this has now got him feeling all new and stuff. Matt Serra will not be in his corner. He did say that Longo will be in his corner, but he is not. He was originally planning to go to New York to do his camp there, but he found a nice gym in South Carolina to do some training and switch it up. He also mentioned that his only training partner the whole time that he was training at Serra Longo was John Vellante. And now John Volante's retired. He went up to heavyweight and did real bad. But I'm really thinking that Chris Weidman did himself a huge disservice in his career with not leaving New York earlier. As soon as he started to run and people started to figure him out, and he started to get stagnant in his game. So I'm hoping that by switching it up, he can put it together one last time. Interested in that one. Okay, next, agree with you on the kind of Andrade, like a Vanderlei Silva destroyer type. She's going to be coming forward, throwing heavy shit. Shevchenko, probably not going to land on her. She's going to be countering heavy. Probably hit her, maybe finish her late. Catch her coming in. And then Rose Weili Zhang, banger. Super excited for that. My only hesitation is Rose, in particular, in that last fight against the 3-rounder against Andrade. She really started fading late in the 3rd round. And with the pace that Weili Zhang showed against Joanna, I'm concerned for Rose's abilities to hold it together in the 4th and the 5th. So that's where my concern is for Rose, which is specifically why I'm going to pick Weili Zhang to retain her belt, either by decision or a late stoppage over Rose. And yeah, that's how I feel about that main card. Then Usman by decision, obviously.
Yeah, man. I'd say that our picks are about as good as you can get, to be honest. I mean, like, I don't know how, let's see. Are there any other, just to throw them out here? I mean, there are some people I recognize on the prelims, but nothing super consequential divisionally. That prelim headliner I really like. It's Randy Brown and Alex Oliveira.
Yeah.
That should be a really fun fight. Randy Brown is one of those guys that, like, you just feel like when he puts it all together, he'll be really, really good. I just am not sure he'll stick around the UFC long enough to get there.
I was actually really surprised. Randy Brown is the favorite in that fight. I bet against him because I bet on Alex Oliveira as part of my parlay, and I was actually surprised that Randy Brown was the favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. He was undefeated until 6-0, and then he just really started getting some. His getting matched up with Vicente Luque, they did him dirty, dog.
Yeah, Vicente
really
Luque was a terror down there in those unranked at welterweight, man.
Yeah, it's a shark tank. A shark tank. It's whoa, hold on. What card does this? That's what I love about Tapology. You can just get lost. It's like when Wikipedia was new.
Mm-hmm. You just keep clicking.
Where you just keep clicking. You just keep going. Warley Alves, who was Randy Brown's most recent win. He won against Warley Alves via triangle choke in 2019. Warley Alves is booked yet again for a fight. He, of course, returned after a little over 1 year, as like a 1.3-month hiatus from the sport, and he is now fighting Ramazan Imiev. That's not a good fight for Warley Alves. I'll tell you that right now. That's not this card. That is actually June 26th. So on the Gon Volkov card. Yeah. Anyway, well, yeah, man, I'd say that's our show. We covered a lot. We covered a lot today.
It was a big one.
Next week we'll have UFC 261 reactions. Also, by that time, we will be staring down the barrel of what card is after this one? It's
Jerry.
McDonald Melinder.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that fight. Curtis Melinder is another guy who just has all of the physical attributes you look for in a top fighter, and he just has difficulty putting it together sometimes. Okay. Well, yeah, man. Do you have any last?
Nope. Thanks for hanging out, y'all.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm gonna go get some Powerade.
It was a good, fun week. Catch y'all next week.
Yeah. Peace out. Bon Kui Kui. Whoever you are.
Shouts out, Bon Kui Kui.
There you go. You got the homie Brad. Got that Mayweather beard. Respect.
Yes, respect. Much
all
respect,
right.
Bon Kui Kui.
Peace out, Bon Kui Kui, and peace out all the rest of the kind people out there. Goodbye. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next week.